Hey guys, we have made it to the end of the Duels Kingdom arc. Up next is going to be the Yugi versus Pegasus duel, but I wanted to take a moment to look back and reflect on some of the duels that have happened throughout Duelist Kingdom. I wanted to go ahead and just look at them all and then rank them accordingly. So what we're going to be looking for in our ranking system is we're going to be looking for epic moments, entertainment value, and interesting opponents. So what we don't want to see is just like bullshit, basically. Like we don't want to see confusing rules or like a lack of understanding of what's going on. So if there's like a duel where it's like, wait, what? Like, how did that happen? You know, what's going on? That's obviously going to rank a lot lower. So let's get right into it. There are 16 duels, and so we've got 16 slots here. And coming in at number 16 is episode 16. This is Yugi versus Kaiba. Maybe the worst duel in the whole show. So I'm just gonna start with what's good about it. And what was good about it was the animation. So the animation, I mean, it's got some deep shading. There's a lot of parallaxing going on in this episode. In my Everything Wrong With video on this, I actually called that out. The animation's actually pretty tight, but that's really where all the good stuff kind of ends. This duel didn't even need to happen. It was just garbage. I really think it was just a way to pump up Kaiba as a villain because, you know, he's coming off of a loss to Yugi, and he's about to lose to Yugi again and then lose to Pegasus. So I think this was like just a way to like hype him up really quick. But I feel like it could have been done any other way. Like maybe he could have come in and then like Panik shows up and is like, hey, I'm gonna challenge you, and then like then Kaiba goes up against Panik and like a legitimate duel and then like just destroys him. That would have been maybe pretty epic. But just to go up against Joey in like the most confusing duel ever was just garbage. I mean, they're just throwing out monsters. There were no spells, no traps. I mean, besides polymerization. It was just like attacking over each other's monsters. I think Kaiba had 3 monsters total. It was like Battle Ox Fusion, and Blue Eyes. I mean, the whole duel was just garbage. So this is at the very bottom. Up next is episode 25, Shining Friendship. This is the Mai versus Taya duel. I really hate how they just treat Mai. You know, like I just feel like female characters already get a bad rap, and then whenever they have things like this happen to them, it's just garbage. I mean, Mai is could be such a cool character, and then you do stuff like this where, like, she already lost to Joey, and then she lost to Panik, and now she's gonna lose to Taya, and then later, obviously, lose to Yugi. But it's just like straight 4 losses. Like, could we have not given this girl some more W's? I mean, all of her W's happen off screen. It was just a garbage episode, and it's a real shame. All right, up next is episode 7. This is Mai versus Joey. This one's ranked really low just because of how confusing it was. It just sort of feels like every single rule is just in place to make Joey look stupid, but it doesn't really succeed at making him look dumb. It just succeeds in confusing us. It's like, okay, wait, why is that? Why is that? You know, I don't know. Mai is not really interesting to us yet. She's like just before the arc, before she actually, you know, before we actually start to like her and everything. So not very interesting opponent at this time. The whole episode, she's just shitting on Joey until the very end. He pulls out Time Wizard, skips out on the coin flip, and wins. What does help this episode out is it is a little iconic. This is the first time that Joey uses Time Wizard, and this is when Mai has her perfume trick, her very, very famous perfume trick. But this also kind of hurts it because her perfume trick is complete and total bullshit. I think anyone that ever watches, as a kid when you're watching it, as an adult when you're watching it, you go, how the fuck can you put special perfume on 40 cards and tell the difference? Like, it's iconic, so it gets bumped up, but it's such a bullshit, stupid fucking thing that it does get knocked down. Like, it's just confusing and aggravating more than anything. So yeah. All right, up next is episodes 9 and 10. This is the Ghost of a Chance duel. So it's Yugi versus Ghost Kaiba. This one's got a lot of iconic moments in it, really just for the meme of it all. Ghost of a Chance has just been memed to hell. It's a terrible duel, and I just drop it all the way down. The reason I put it so low on the list is there's 3 things that are happening, right? There's Kaiba trying to break into the security system. There's Pegasus's, you know, sort of like reaction to everything that's happening in real time. And there's the duel. Out of the 3, the duel is the least interesting. So Kaiba trying to break into his own like house and get into his security system and trying to hack Pegasus, all of that is so much more interesting to us than the actual duel. And then secondly, like Pegasus's reactions to him are also somewhat entertaining, but then also like it's our first time to really kind of see like him as the villain. Like in episode 8, you get to see a little bit of Pegasus, but episode 9 and 10 is like where you really get to kind of see Pegasus a little bit. And so just being able to be in the presence of the villain and kind of seeing the reaction to things, they kind of just take over the moment. So If there wasn't for the single line of Ghost of a Chance, I don't think anybody would even remember the actual duel part of it. You'd remember everything else. It's only really remembered for that garbage line that's said 100 times. The whole duel is just basically the Blue Eyes duel. It's like he's trying to destroy him with blue eyes, and then Yugi attacks over the blue eyes, and everybody's cheering, and then he Monster Reborns a blue eyes while the other guy's got a blue eyes, and then Kaiba gives a blue eyes a virus, and then the one blue eyes attacks over the other blue eyes. It's just like the Blue Eyes show, but it's just blue eyes is blowing up blue eyes is. Yeah, Ghost of a Chance was like the only thing that's like super memorable about it. Everything else, it really takes a back seat to the other stuff that's going on in the episode. All right, up next, episode 6, Yugi versus Mako. I put this one just above the other ones. Like, it's still really bad. I do rank it a little bit higher because of its super iconic Attack the Moon moment. That's obviously huge. Everybody knows about that moment. It's like one of the things you think about when you think about early season 1. So that puts it, much further up the list. What really pulls it back down though is there's no iconic monsters in it. And also Mako is just such a boring opponent. I mean, I know he's got a little bit of backstory, his dad, blah, blah, blah. His dad's lost at sea or whatever, but that has nothing to do with dueling. And it just doesn't make him interesting at all. Yeah. All right, up next is episodes 26 and 27. This is Champion versus Creator. This has got a lot of iconic moments. So I'm gonna say all the good stuff, and then I'm gonna explain why it gets pulled back down. The good stuff is, this is like Pegasus, like peak Pegasus. Like, I love Pegasus here more than any other episode. And as you guys know, if you guys have seen the series, I love Pegasus, I love Darren Dustin, I love the voice acting, everything like that. This is also the first duel that we get that it's like an antagonist versus an antagonist. So this is like the first time that it's not hero versus villain. It's Pegasus, who's the ultimate antagonist, and then Kaiba, who's also like a micro antagonist at this point, going at each other. You don't know what's gonna go down. Really, really, really interesting stuff. I love the tunes. I don't know what the general vibe of the Yu-Gi-Oh community is to know if everybody does likes tunes or not, but I love tunes. I think they're great. So all of that stuff makes, pushes the episode way up in the air for me. What brings it back down is just how infuriating the tunes are. From a mechanics perspective, in the anime, they're just beyond broken. And it's kind of like all my frustrations with Majin Buu, or really anytime that you just don't understand how the villain works. And it's just like, I can't feel the tension, I can't feel anything because I don't understand it at all, and nothing seems to, like, what is the weakness? Okay, he has no, that's not interesting. Being invincible and not having any weaknesses is not interesting at all. All right, coming in at number 10, so now we're entering like the top 10. Is Rex Raptor versus Joey Wheeler. This is when Joey gets Red Eyes. We are introduced to Red Eyes. That pushes this one all the way up to the 10th spot for me. Red Eyes is such an iconic monster. There's so many iconic moments in this duel. You got Red Eyes, you got Thousand Dragon, you got Time Wizard. Like, there's just so many iconic moments that happen. This is also when we get introduced to the whole concept of ante. So Rex Raptor's like, hey, I'm gonna ante up my Red Eyes, and you're gonna ante up your Time Wizard. And it actually was plot relevant. It wasn't just randomly thrown in there. Like, Rex was like, I'm gonna duel Mai after this, and she lost to that Time Wizard, so I'm gonna try to get me a Time Wizard. So it was really cool. It didn't feel like Joey didn't earn the Red Eyes, or it was like bullshit last second. It was like he actually earned it because Rex was so sure he was gonna win, and then Joey whipped out Time Wizard at the very end there, and well, he had on the field the whole time, but he summons Time Wizard at the very end there and wins the whole duel. So yeah, just that little moment pushes it all the way to the top for me. Rex is not a interesting villain at all. I mean, Abridged does a great job of kind of making fun of him. He really is kind of a very, very lackluster villain, but the idea of Red Eyes, Time Wizard, all of that, it does push this one to the top, so yeah. All right, up next, number 9 is episodes 14 and 15. This is the Panik duel, so this is Yugi versus Panik. I actually really like this duel. If you had asked me to make this list before the rewatch of my Everything Wrong With series, I would have maybe not even remembered it, but I liked a lot of it. So what I really like about it, so this is episodes 14 and 15, and the episode prior to this is episode 13, and that's the one where it is Yami Bakura versus Yami, and they're doing like the tabletop duel. And so that was sort of, from the very beginning we've been introduced to Yami, but that was sort of where we're really kind of introduced to Yami. We really get to see Yami being Yami, and Yugi being Yugi, and sort of the differences in them. And then I feel like this episode 14 and 15 was that natural like progression past that. Like, Yami is very much Yami in this, like he's as close to season 0 Yami as we really get. You know, he's standing there, arms crossed, fire's coming at him, he's not flinching. Then he sucks the fire up and shoots it, you know, and I mean, he doesn't shoot it back at Panik, he doesn't firebend or anything, but he does, I guess, somehow save his friends from the fire, and then he does mind crush the opponent, but it does a great job of taking that next step for Yami. So you have episode 13, little taste of Yami. Episodes 14 and 15, you really get to see him come alive, and that's awesome. Panik's an eliminator. I think he's actually a very interesting villain. Like, yes, he's shouting the whole time, but Pegasus has hired these pros to come in and start to take out weaker people on the tournament. So it's very interesting. And then I thought Panik actually had a pretty cool deck. Like, he's got the Castle of Dark Illusions, the Darkness. I just thought it was kind of interesting. And then I really loved how Yugi dueled against him. He tried a couple attacks, they didn't work, and then he just, no more attacks, and then he just shot Catapult Turtle at Castle of Dark Illusions, crashed the castle. Now, some of you guys might hear me say this and be like, well, doesn't that fall under your confusing category? Yes, but no. No, only because from the very beginning, Yami was saying, like, that castle is going to be your downfall. Like, he was calling it from the beginning. If he had never said anything, if they just cut all that dialogue and they just had him shoot the dragon champion at the castle and then it fell, I'd be like, that's bullshit. But from the very beginning, he's like, your defense, what you think is helping you is going to be your biggest downfall. Then you're already primed for it. And then Panik keeps doubling down on trying to build up that defense, only for Yami to come tear it down. So I loved it. I thought it was all set up very well, and then the payoff was beautiful. I mean, it was a really, really, really good duel. It goes up in the 9th spot for me. I mean, it maybe could have been higher, but there's these other, it doesn't really have like hyper iconic moments. It's more of just a really great episode. If it had iconic moments, it might be in the top 5, but yeah. All right, up next in the 8th spot is episode 13. This is a very interesting duel. This is a tabletop duel, meaning no holograms or anything like that. It's Yami Bakura versus Yami Yugi, and I just love this one. It's super, super interesting. So the setup is the episode right before this, we end on a cliffhanger, and Yami Bakura is like, hey, let's have a little fun duel. Everybody pick your favorite monster. They all do it. They say who they relate to, yada, yada. And then Bakura is able to pull them out of it and into the cards, and he's gonna take the Yugi's puzzle, but then Yami comes out. So it's really good, our first time really getting to see Yami coming out, and that's really interesting and really cool. We get to introduce to Yami Bakura, so it's a very iconic moment. So Yami Bakura, tabletop, all of these are great things. The gang actually gets injected into this duel, which was very interesting. They all get to become their favorite monsters, and I just thought that was a very, very cool concept. The duel itself it wasn't great from a duel perspective, but it was very, very interesting. I thought it was very well executed because everything Bakura has is like destroying. So it's Man-Eater Bug, destroying the field. It's Morphing Jar, destroying the hand, He's trying to just get them all to the graveyard. And then he's attacking them with just desserts, going for his life points. Like, he gave Yugi no room to breathe. It just sort of felt rushed at the end. Like, at the very end, Yami is able to swap Evil Bakura and Bakura, and it just sort of felt like they didn't really know how to get out of the situation, and they just sort of like ran with that. But yeah, that's really the only downside. This is a very interesting duel, and I loved it. I thought it was great. All right, coming in at number 7 is episodes 4 and 5. This is a Weevil duel. A lot to say about this duel. Number 1, these are the good things. The animation is beautiful. Like, they really did a great job. It felt like, it just didn't feel as stocky as like the stuff later on, like where it sort of feels like they kind of rushed it and didn't really put a lot of detail into the individual like moments and stuff. But the fire animation looks great. The actual holographics look great. Like, every single thing about it looks great. I loved how giant the monsters were in this one. Like, later on, like, monsters are very, very, like, they're always in different sizes or whatever, but this one was just like super epic. Like, the stadium comes out of the ground in a very epic way. The monsters are massive and all of that. It just felt very grand. It was a great way to kick off Duelist Kingdom. I love Weevil as a villain. I know I was knocking on Rex earlier. I think there's a big difference between, I know Abridged kind of groups the two of them together, but there's a big difference between Weevil and Rex. Weevil feels like a very, very fleshed out villain. Fleshed out, he's got like a personality. You actually kind of understand him a little bit more. Like, he's very, very sneaky and cunning and all of that. Rex feels much, much more generic. Like, they copied and pasted Weevil and then deleted all of his personality and made him much more generic. But I love Weevil. He's got the glasses, he's like that little, like, he's calculating everything. I thought giving him insects was brilliant. Like, insects are very powerful, but not seemingly, you know what I mean? But he's just so sneaky and clever and tricky. And so I don't know, I love Weevil. I love that they gave him insects. Animation was amazing. Super iconic moments. Obviously, like the perfectly ultimate great moth sucks, but but in the anime, it's like it feels very big. It feels very grand. When I think of season 1, I immediately think of Weevil, and I think about the Cocoon and Cocoon Evolution and Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Like, I don't know. I really love this duel. I think it just set the tone for the whole show, for the whole season really well. Really great voice acting, great dueling, great everything. Yeah, love it. All right, up next in the 6th spot is episode 17 and 18. The real highlight for this episode for me is the way that Joey wins at the end. I loved it. Like, again, it's that incremental, like Joey's learning. So he duels Mai, he fucking sucks. He duels Rex, he's a little bit better. And now he's gonna duel Bones, and it's awesome. I just feel like Joey just grew so much by this episode. I love the shield and sword flip. Like, let me just get right to it. So I love the shield and sword flip. So all the zombie monsters have 0 defense. What's Joey gonna do? Shield and sword, bam, they all have 0 attack. Attacks one and into one of them, destroys it. This was great because, again, a lot of the endings just feel like rushed or like last second, but like we saw Shield and Sword in episode 3. Like, he got it that early, and like every single duel up to that point was just for Joey anyway, was just Time Wizard. Like, it's just Time Wizard Ex Machina. Like, it just Time Wizard, destroy the field, attack directly. Time Wizard, you know, you can't attack directly, but you know what I mean. Just destroy the field, attack. This one was different. This was Joey with the shield and sword, and then swung and won. And yeah, I just love that. For that moment, it bumps it all the way up here for me. It was also interesting because he did pull out Time Wizard. Time Wizard didn't work, and then he had to rely on this new trick. So it really feels like they just did a great job of like progressing Joey through. Like, he got a little smarter for each duel. Like, he just got a little bit better. So he does his usual combo, which is just Time Wizard, and then the next duel it's Time Wizard plus, and then the next one it's Time Wizard plus. So, and then this one it was, okay, Time Wizard didn't work. How do I improvise? So yeah, love this duel. All right, coming in at the 5th spot, this is Kaiba versus Yugi. This is a great episode. Obviously, a ridiculous amount of iconic moments. We are seeing Blue Eye's ultimate dragon. We are seeing the wall of Karibo. We are seeing Kaiba's attempted suicide. We're seeing, this is the first time we ever get to see Kaiba's virus card, which is, you know, obviously huge. He uses that all the time. It's Mammoth Graveyard and Living Arrow. Like, there's just so many iconic moments in this episode. It's ridiculous. Obviously, Kaiba, I don't even need to say that he's an interesting villain. There's so much backstory built up at this point. In the episode before this, like, Pegasus had just taken Mokuba, like, actually prisoner. Like, first he was just locked up, now he's like in a card. And so there's just so much riding on this duel. So both of these characters have their loved ones tied up in a card, and they have to win. And I mean, the tension is really there. Something else I love about this episode is like Yami is Yami in this episode. Not just because, you know, Kaiba's like, I'm gonna kill myself, and Yami's like, so be it, an attack. No, but because he was just so confident, like arms crossed, like ready to go. Come at me. I've got my wall of Karibo, and I'm gonna destroy you. Like, he really is like becoming Yami. And I love that. I love this whole episode, everything about it. Yeah. Moving forward. All right, in the 4th spot, we've got the Paradox Brothers versus Yugi and Joey. I love this episode. The Paradox Brothers are hilarious. I wish we got more like cutaways to Pegasus. Any of you guys that watched the original Dragon Ball, inside Muscle Tower, so Goku shows up on Muscle Tower and he has to go through all these levels. So there's like level 1, 2, 3. On one of them, he's got to fight Murasaki, and General White was like so sure Murasaki was gonna destroy Goku, and then as he kind of fights, like he kind of learns that Murasaki's an idiot, and you get all these cutaways of General White going like, oh my god. If I could have changed anything about this episode, I wish that Pegasus had like hyped them up to, you know what I mean, hyped them up like with an internal monologue, or to maybe to Croquet, like, these guys are the best. Like, I flew these guys in, you know what I mean? Like, hype them up. And then they're like doing backflips. And I mean, just all the stuff Murasaki did. Like, they're just being ridiculous. And then Pegasus just sort of does one of these, you know what I mean? I would have loved to see more parallels between White, like the Murasaki and General White, and then the Paradox Brothers and Pegasus. I think it would have been a little funnier, but it was great nonetheless. A lot of things I love about this episode. I really don't know the Yu-Gi-Oh community, like the anime community, that well to know if you guys like these things or hate these things. So I might be like by myself on an island, but I love the Labyrinth Wall. I love Gate Guardian. I loved how they, they were moving based on star level. I just thought that was just great. Yeah, it was like, it was a little confusing, but not really, because they did a good job of explaining it. I think they could have explained it, in less time, but they gave this 3 episodes, so it actually felt like it could kind of breathe and everything. I guess I just loved it. I just thought it was great because I thought it was a very great way for a tag team to sort of work, because like they were able to kind of move monsters around. Like it just made the whole tag team concept interesting. So tag team was already kind of interesting, but then this Labyrinth Wall thing I thought made it more interesting. So yeah, I actually loved it. I thought it was great. It was so cool to get to watch Joey and Yugi team up. Joey was pulling out things, like he's like learning so much. So now he's got kunai with chain, you know what I mean? He's doing different, he's pulling off different moves. Beast Skull Dragon comes out in this episode, which is obviously hyper iconic. You guys know how much I love that monster. I'm rambling, so just to recap, I love Gate Guardian, I love Labyrinth Wall, I love the tag team, I love moving the spaces based on star level, I love Gate Guardian, Beast Skull, like everything about this duel and everything was just great. All right, enough about that one. The third spot, so now we're entering top 3. Episodes 33 and 34, this is Yugi versus Joey. This duel is, epic. It's the culmination of everything that Yugi and Joey have learned, really everything that Joey has learned up to this point. Everything that he's ever pulled throughout the whole duel comes out in this one. We get the Flame Swordsman, we get Kunai with Chain, we get Beast Skull Dragon, we get Grave Robber, we get Copycat. We get everything in this duel. And Joey is dueling his heart out. He's able to pull off Beast Skull Dragon without Yugi's assistance. He's taking cards from Yugi. That was just incredible to me. Joey really did a great job. Yugi, obviously, it was just kind of a bullshit way he won with Dark Sage, but also all right, you gotta give it to him. So he's the king of games. But you probably could talk me into bumping this down 2 spaces and letting the other 2 go up. But there's just a lot of iconic moments that happen in this one. All the iconic monsters are in here. You got the song, you got everything. So yeah, this one has to go to get spot 3. All right, in the 2 spot, we get My Valentine versus Yugi, episodes 29 and 30. On the rewatch, I loved this duel. Mai is fucking kicking ass. I love that in the night before episode, she's like, okay, I'm doing Yugi. I need to come up with a plan, and then starts assembling a deck, and then she whips out a deck that we haven't seen yet really. She's got Mirror Wall in it, she's got Harpy's Pet Dragon in it. She really tried. It was just so cool to see that as a somebody who duels and stuff. It's just very cool to see the real life applications of dueling put into the show. I hope that's clear what I'm trying to say. But when I had to duel at a tournament or whatever, you sit, you refine your deck, you obviously work on your extra deck and your side deck, you get everything refined, you get it right to the great spot. Mai did all that. She stayed up the night before, she worked on the deck, she was determined to win. She pulled out everything. She got Harpy's Pet Dragon, she got the Mirror Wall up. She had a great plan. The animation on this was amazing. Again, I loved Harpy's Pet Dragon. It's got iconic moments like Harpy's Pet Dragon, like Catapult Turtle, like Mirror Wall. Oh my god, I remember everybody on the playground ran Mirror Wall for the longest time. Yeah, I loved everything about this duel. Mai went out there and just fought so fiercely. I feel like between her and Joey, they really deserve to be the king of games, or in Mai's case, the queen of games. But yeah, there's just too many things to say about this one. I love this duel. Alright guys, and then finally in the top spot, my favorite duel in Duelist Kingdom is Joey versus Keith. I loved everything about this duel. The entertainment value is at max. The iconic moments is at max. The interesting opponent is at max. Keith is a great villain at this point because we were teased about him. When Kaiba shows up on the island, he tells a story a little bit about Keith, and then the next episode we get to hear more about Keith, and then Joey sort of by proxy duels against Keith. And then in the night before episode, there's some back and forth. There's so much buildup between these two. So all the setting is there. We understand why Keith's there. We understand his motivation. He's a top tier duelist and Joey's a beginner. So we've got this perfect mix, or this perfect setting between these two. So we really feel like we know Keith. And then as far as entertainment value, there's just so many like back and forth like dialogue things. Like Keith is trying to trash Joey, and every time he like, you know, insults him or whatever, Joey takes that insult and throws it right back at him.
You should have seen the look on your loser face, you dweeb, when your swordsman's own attack toasted him. It was priceless.
Not bad, huh? I only wish you could have seen the look on your face when that metal Zoa of yours got shish kebab. It was priceless.
So tell me how it feels to be an amateur going up against the Intercontinental Dueling Champion.
What's wrong, Mr. Champ? Don't tell me you're losing your cool to an amateur like me.
The duel was beautiful. I know I said what hurts things is when things are confusing. I felt like this duel was one of the least confusing duels ever. I love the setup to Time Machine. When Keith uses it, you know, he calls out like, oh, too bad you don't have a time machine, but if you did, this is what would happen. And then we kind of get like a bit of an understanding of it as to how Time Machine works. And then when Joey pulls it off for the ending W, it's not like, wait, what? Like, how did that work? No, we understood it from the first episode. One of the first moves Keith pulls, or one of the first moves that Keith pulls after Joey uses Time Wizard was a time machine. We understand how it works. And then when Joey pulls it off, it makes perfect sense. And we're like, oh my God, like this is such an epic moment. Iconic moments, this episode has all the iconic moments. We have Red Eye starting his Metal Dragon. We have Metal Morph and Zoa, so like Metal Zoa. We've got Barrel Dragon. We've got 7 Complete and the slot machine. Grave Robbers in it. Copycats in it, I believe. Time Wizards in it. Thousand Dragon. Everything is in it. I mean, this duel is the culmination of, I mean, it's just peak Joey. It's peak Joey. It's peak season 1. I loved every single aspect about this duel. To me, it's number 1, and there's nothing is even close to it. Like there's a big gap between 1 and 2. So yeah, it's just a fantastic duel. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is different than my usual thing, but yeah, please like, share, comment, subscribe, the whole deal. Let me know below if you guys want to see more of this kind of stuff, or you know, just stick to the everything wrong with guy. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.